Every single time the Bitcoin price is going up, I inevitably get this question: when should I sell my Bitcoin? I want to take a minute and try to explain why that mindset is the wrong one to have regarding Bitcoin. First, Bitcoin is not a stock, it's not an app, it's not profitable software, it's a better money. Now, when most people hear that, they have no idea what it means, and that's perfectly understandable. But for a second, let's talk about traditional investments so that we can have a way to compare. So how do we judge whether a stock or a business or an asset is a good or bad investment? Well, we look at its profits, we look at its earnings, we look at the change in its price over time in money. But this presents a really interesting problem. What if the amount of money in circulation isn't stable? If trillions of new units of the money are being poured into the economy, well, then everything's going to go up in price because it all just has to adjust in a relative sense to the amount of money that exists. What if there are trillions of new units of the money being created and they are all being filtered through a single set of industries like the banking and financial and political sectors? Well, then the price of all of those things would increase far faster than everything else in the economy. So it would appear as if all of these things are becoming more valuable, when it's actually not true. If this was happening, how would you tell? Let's take the example of two different things that people generally think of as always growing: real estate and the stock market, which will use the median house value and the S&P 500. If you just flat chart their prices, it just looks like it's skyrocketing. But what we want to do is compare it to the amount of money that exists. So let's take the M2 measurement. This is about the closest thing we have to measuring the amount of money in circulation. Let's put it on a logarithmic chart so that we can actually see what's happening. Now let's even out the scale and start them from the same place so that we can see the relative growth.
They're the same picture.
And consider the vast industry of bankers, rent seekers, financial instruments, mortgage-backed securities, derivatives, hedge funds, that we literally give all of our retirements to BlackRock, who then give it to a bunch of giant corporations. And yet none of this is actually making us wealthier. It's just forcing us to pay them to do what our money should do anyway, which is hold its value. So many of the things that we think are getting more valuable are actually just reflecting the fact that your money is less valuable. But Bitcoin is 21 million forever. How many dollars can we expect there to be in the future? Well, in 1975, the U.S. national debt was about $500 billion. A decade later, it was about 3 times that number. A decade after that, it was about double what it was in 1985. Another 10 years in 2005, and it was double what it was in 1995. 2015, a little over twice what it was in 2005. And today, it's right around twice what it was in 2015. Give it another year. Anyone with a few warm brain cells left can tell you pretty confidently that in 2035, the U.S. debt's going to be probably between 70 and 80 trillion, and in 2045, it'll be between 140 and 200 trillion. The dollar will always lose value because there will never be a time that they don't print more of it. But Bitcoin will always grow in value because it will always be 21 million, and society will get more valuable. The more we work, the more we innovate, the easier things get. They should be more affordable. So when people ask, when should I sell Bitcoin? When should I take my profits? My response is, when should you get rid of something that consistently grows in value in order to hold on to something that consistently loses value? I mean, have you ever looked at the price of dollars when measured in Venezuelan bolivars? You've made billions of Venezuelan bolivars. When are you going to sell your dollars to have more Venezuelan fiat? Now, if you want to use Bitcoin to make your life better or to accomplish something that matters to you, by all means, that's exactly what money is for. But you should never sell a money that can't be printed by anyone in order to hold a money that is printed by the trillions every single year. Bitcoin is better money. You should never sell it for dollars for the exact same reason that you would never get rid of your diamonds because they were worth more measured in dog shit. Just save in better money. It really is that simple. But that's just my 2 cents. Speaking of savings, I have $8,072, which was just $7,900 the other day, but Bitcoin's been doing really well. And this is simply because I virtually do all of my banking with this. Every time I swipe this card, I get 0.5%, sometimes 1, sometimes even 1.5%. I can get 2, 3, 5, even 10% on gift cards with major merchants. Between the roundups, the gift cards, the auto stacking, the sats back on every single swipe, Fold literally does all of the work for me, and it is denominated in Bitcoin, and I have more savings just by using this card than like 90% of the United States normal consumer. If you want to save in better money and you want 20,000 sats for free right now, it's about $20 at $100,000 of Bitcoin. Check out Fold. I've got a referral link for you right here. Shout out to Fold for sponsoring my work and honestly being the most important service for my being on a Bitcoin standard.